I don't care if you're in Seoul, Korea or United States. Our hearts, our minds, our bodies, everything about us is the same. They want justice, good wages, and they want to be treated right and fair. And we're going to work hand in hand to make sure that happens.
Our guest this week is Tim Smith, the UAW Region 8 Director. Tim, welcome to the Valley Labor Report. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
You're welcome, Jacob. It's always an honor to be on your show, and just thank you for what you do for labor.
Well, I appreciate it, and same to you, of course. We have a really, really cool story from the UAW that is the reason that I had reached out to you initially, and that is that you went to Korea just last week. So you might even still have jet lag. You've been in the country for such a short amount of time after you got back from Korea. But you went there to talk to the Korean Metalworkers Union. Can you talk to us about the importance of international cooperation between unions? I want to talk a little bit about specifically why y'all were there meeting with the Korean Metalworkers Union, but just generally, I find that workers sometimes might not understand the importance of making connections with workers in similar industries in other countries.
Well, again, thank you for having me on the show, and it was truly an honor to represent the UAW, but we had a great team that went, myself and Christine, our internationals fair. She runs our internationals fairs, and then Chris and Jason out of the president's office. So we went to deliver a message that we signed a memorandum of understanding on Tuesday morning. It was an honor to stand there with their president and shake hands and sign that, to where we're going to work globally together, hand in hand, when it comes to organizing, when it comes to collective bargaining, in every aspect of their union and our union. And as you well know, we're trying to organize Kia, Hyundai, and a lot of companies that are built and based in their country. But there's one thing that people should know: trade unionists around the world are no different, whether you're in the United States, you're in Korea, whether you're in Japan, wherever you're at. They were so humble and graceful and starving for information. And we learned a lot ourselves. One thing that really they wanted to hear is how the stand-up strike went in 2023, what they could use to learn from that. But, it's a little different in their country on how they strike and how they do things. So my hat goes off to them. It was an amazing week, and I can tell you a little more, but I'll stop there.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you tell them about the stand-up strike, and how do you think that they, what are some of the lessons that they felt like they could take even in the different legal environment in Korea?
Well, again, and let's speak about that. They got to be very careful. If they institute an illegal strike, they could face jail time and prison time, which has happened there over the years. Matter of fact, while we were there and we toured the GM plant on Thursday, they were on a strike, trying to get better wages and a lot of things in their collective bargaining agreement trying to get done. So when we went that day, they were actually first shift. The last 2 hours they struck. And while we were there, the clerical and cleric officer workers were walking out. It was a pretty amazing thing to see. But also at the entrance of where the workers go in and go to work, there's tents set up, and the bargaining committee around the clock sleeps in them tents where the workers have have the ability to be right there with them every day. They have these huge bulletin boards posted of what's happening. We were on there showing where I had met with the Secretary of Labor in the Parliament, and we walked the floor. They were so gracious. They wear their headbands, and we put that on to, walk through to show solidarity with those workers and, shaking their hands. So it was an amazing day, but, they got to be very careful. So the stuff we give them, they're going to, sit back and see what they can use to help them when it comes time for something they may need to strike.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate. Absolutely. And so the Korean Metalworkers Union, they do represent workers at Hyundai in Korea, which is something that I feel like most folks in Alabama and in the United States would not have guessed. They would not have guessed that that Hyundai workers in Korea already have a union, which is something that Hyundai workers in the United States don't have yet. And so, in some ways, they're a little bit farther along even than folks in the United States. But so the Korean Metalworkers Union does represent workers at Hyundai in Korea. What are some of the problems that they are dealing with the company over there?
Well, let me say this. They're a very young union. They're about 193,000 strong and growing. And we're definitely going to stand with them. Whether we some of the Hyundai workers that we met, also GM workers we met, they want to come to the U.S. and help. They want to come to the U.S. and explain to the Hyundai workers, the same thing we talk about that, down in Hyundai, they, first of all, we had child labor being exploited down there, but they want to come and be able to talk to these workers and explain to why they need a union and what benefits them in Korea. So we're going to work hand in hand. There's not much there. I got to be careful what I want to put out here because we got some strategies put together, but it goes back. We're very similar to what we do. It's just they do a little things different. And I don't want to give that away right here today, but thank you for asking me for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so you mentioned that the UAW, the United Auto Workers, and the Korean Metal Workers Union did sign a memorandum together. What was in that memorandum?
We're going to work hand in hand to organize and collective bargaining strategies. And there's a lot more, but I'll give you them two pieces. I know you want more, Jacob. I know you keep going there, but we got work to do, and we're going to work hand in hand. But again, let me just make this very clear. I don't care if you're in Seoul, Korea, or you're in the United States. Our hearts, our minds, our bodies, everything about us is the same. I had to have interpreters to help me understand, and that was challenging. But at the end of the day, everything they said, I heard. We're true trade unionists. They want what we want, and we want what they want. And it doesn't matter where you're at in the world. They want justice. They want good wages. They want good livable wages. And they want to be treated right and fair, and we're going to work hand in hand to make sure that happens.
I think that there's such a value in workers understanding that there's so much more that unites us than that separates us. And we've had the honor of being able to interview workers from other countries on this program in Zambia and India and Mexico. I've been in rooms with the Japanese Public Sector Workers Union, and that has always struck me how they're dealing with the same problems that we are. Obviously, in some countries, they're dealing with it to a higher level, like in countries like Zambia or India or Mexico, they're dealing with worse exploitation. And in other countries, maybe in Europe, it's maybe a little bit better. But fundamentally, we are facing the same problems, and it's going to take the same thing for us to be able to win, and that's coming together and organizing, collective bargaining, stuff like that. So
I want to say this right out in front of the parliament. Their dealerships in Korea are a little different here. Like right up the street from me here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. We have a huge GM dealership. And massive amount of cars are everywhere. Well, there they have basically a showroom from what I seen where I was, and they have salesmen. But some of the salesmen that are not full-time are been trying to get collective bargaining rights for 2 years. So out in front of the parliament, they have been set up in tents for 2 years. 2 years. So it was truly an honor to go inside of them tents, sit with those workers. Now I got to remind you, while we were there, it was extraordinary hot, 101, 102, 103 degrees, humidity like I never seen. Here in Kentucky, we got it. But to set in, and you got to remember, it can get as low as -4 there in the winter and snow. But they've been there for 2 years. Think about it, 2 years fighting for
Right.
the right to have collective bargaining rights. What does that tell you about them? And also when they imposed martial law there, they were outside the parliament, and what they told us, they seen the tanks and helicopters rolling in. They started sending message out to their leadership. Within hours, you had 10 to 15,000 people, 10 to 15,000 people that roared into there that helped overthrow. And now they have what they feel the president is more labor friendly. They're trying to get 2 legislative pieces passed. One of them is the yellow envelope bill, which will give them better collective bargaining rights. So we stood with them on those bills. I asked when I was in the parliament, that was my main objective. Please work with the KWMU to get this legislative passed so it will help workers. So we hope and pray that the new president will listen to the workers in that country and give more collective bargaining rights. But that was truly an honor to be in that tent, stand outside of that tent. And we took posters that we used in our stand-up strike and wrote messages of encouragement for those workers.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.